So once we've completed the flotation at the tank, obviously this is the light fraction, and if you remember, the chiffon holds all the material that floated, and here's the original tag plus the new float number that's written on the back. This then goes onto the line and sits here in the shade and dries for several days, and once that's finished drying completely, we then put it in a bag with its original tag and a new tag, and we weigh it. So it's now ready to be analyzed because all of the material is ready to is dry and ready to be taken to a laboratory and looked at. Okay, so once the heavy fraction has been brought out in the sun and is dried, we then process it and pull all the artifacts and ecofacts from it. And that's what we're doing here at this table. So the first thing we do is weigh it so we can do a weight per weight of the sample so we can study the density of all the material that is found within the heavy fraction. So first, Jovino is going to put it in the bucket here in the balde. We're going to put the sample in the balde, in the bowl, and then he's going to weigh it here at our scale. We write this down in our book, as well as all of the weights of all the different artifact types that we encounter in any individual float, heavy fraction of the float. After we've weighed the whole sample, and of course I will remove the actual weight of the bowl. We have it written here, so we'll remove that when I write it down in the book. We put it through the two sieves, greater than 2 and greater than 1, so we can see the different sized objects, the ceramics, the lithics. We have a lot of fish bone and fish scales here. And then also we're looking for carbon. So we first get the material to go down through the screens, and then we start with a greater than 2, which you can see here, coming out across this white, very nice white tray that we use to sort against so we can see things better. So we'll start with this and spend as much time as we need to separate out the different artifact types, which will be, in this case, ceramics I can see right away, and I can see some fish scales right away. But we're going to do this systematically over some amount of time, sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes an hour. So here we are with the greater than 2 millimeter heavy fraction from a float, and we pull everything we can see. I'm holding some bone, some fish bone that will go in the fish bone. We have ceramic fragments, sherds, here. We also have not great lithic fragments there. We also pull carbon and other things that we find. Sometimes we find small pieces of jewelry or escoria. But mainly, as you can see here, if you look closely, you're going to see fish bone. That's usually what we're finding here. And we just do this sort of systematically. We all look at it, we shake it around like this, we look at it again, and then we move on to the greater than 1 millimeter size in hopes of finding charred plant remains in both of these fragments. Okay, once we finish the greater than 2, we work with the greater than 1. We give it a little bit of a shake, and then we take this fraction, which is greater than 1, between 1 and 2, and we pour it again on the plate, a nice white plate that we can easily spread things out on and take a look at. So now we shake that out like this and take a good look again like we did, and just add it to this because everything's in one bag. It's the heavy fraction of the lithics, the heavy fraction of ceramics, the botanicals, and the bone. So we take a look at that. I take a quick look at the small pan, as we call it, which is less than 1, where there's really nothing large enough that we could identify, so we don't really investigate this. We work with this, and then we weigh all these up and record it in the book. So in the greater than 2, obviously we collect everything we can see, and you can tell some of the pieces are quite big. In this fraction, we're really looking for only carbon because there's continuing, at least at this site, continuing to have a lot of fish bone, and we just can't take the time to do it. So we stick with the fish bone from the larger fraction. So it's really quite focused on trying to extract carbon and anything that we see that's special, of course. Once we've looked at all of the fractions of the heavy fraction, we then record it all, measuring each one in turn. So we record the date we've done this, the site, the sector, the locus, the float number, and then the total weight of the material that was floated. That is, you saw in the green bowl. And then we record the weight of the botanicals, the weight of the bone, the weight of the lithics, the weight of the ceramics, the weight of the burnt soil or like burnt brick, like to note a fire location, and then anything else we find. So that's what you see here is just everything handwritten out. We use this scale, which has a nice aspect of tearing it, which means it'll zero out the actual container, and then we can get the actual weight of the material. And we put those in bags with an interior tag and an exterior tag, recording again the float number and the provenience.